We are meant to call from out of the past stories, strange and weird.
Tales of mystery and terror by radio's masters of the macabre.
Stories of the supernatural, the supernormal, dramatizing our fantasy, the mystery, the unknown. We tell you this frankly, so if you wish to avoid the excitement and tension of these imaginary plays, we urge you calmly, sincerely, to turn off your radio now.
This is the horror, frightful tales from the golden age of radio that you can find every Saturday at relicradio.com. Our story this week comes from The Hermit's Cave, a series that debuted in 1936, aired until 1947, had a separate run on the West Coast that aired from 1940 to 1944. Between them, over 700 episodes were produced. Our story today is Without End. This one aired October 27th, 1946.
The Mummers in the Little Theater of the Air.
Oh, stories. Weird stories. And murders, too. The Hermit knows of them all. Turn out your lights. Turn them out. Have you heard the story Without End? Then listen while the Hermit tells you the story.
This is a story of love that has no end, of the deep, dark shadows of sorrow, of dreams that span the bridge of time. It's my story and Lorraine's. I am David Runzel, just an ordinary guy with hopes like yours and dreams like yours. I was one in a foxhole with thousands of boys. And in the nighttime when the enemy was pouring all they had on us, I did what a lot of fellows did. I put my mind on other things. But not so, my pal Jim Green.
You're giving us all they got tonight, Dave.
Yeah.
There's a funny feeling a guy gets out here, never knowing just what minute the end is going to come, and yet always so close you can darn near taste it.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing, though. It never seems to get you like it does me.
You know why, Jim?
Got some secret system?
Maybe.
Well, let another guy in on it.
You got a girl back home, Jim?
A girl. Man, I've got dozens.
I've got just one.
I figure there's more safety in numbers. You've got just one. How do you know she'll be yours when you get back?
I know, Jim. There was never anyone for Lorraine but me. And there was never anyone for me but Lorraine.
You got more faith than I have, Dave. There's still a lot of fellas on the home front making hay while the sun shines. So they tell me.
I never worry about Lorraine. She's always with me. Always.
Christopher, that was a close one.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate all of this. Why do we have to be out here, our bodies targets for death?
Quiet, Jim. Think about something else.
You're a fool, Dave. You don't have any more chance than I have.
But I have. I've got faith. You know what, Jim? It always seems that Lorraine is right beside me. Sometimes walking in front of me, shielding me from enemy fire.
That's rot.
You don't have to believe me, but I know it's true. I can feel her presence tonight more than ever. I know she's here beside me.
You expect me to believe in such a thing? As if a person a million miles away could protect you in this foxhole. What's more, it's getting hotter around here. We're in for it tonight.
Faith, Jim. Faith.
I'm afraid, Dave.
Let Lorraine protect you as she does me.
Down, they've spotted us. We gotta move out of here.
Jim, don't be a fool.
It ain't safe here, I tell you. They're zeroed in on us.
Jim, come back! Oh! Jim! Oh, Jim, I told you to stay by me. Lorraine would have protected you. Jim! Oh, you may not not believe my story any more than Jim, who lost his life that night. But I knew my darling Lorraine was constantly by my side. No matter how terrible the battle, she was protecting me. When I was in the front line, she was my shield and my protector. When we moved along the roadways and our planes above spotted us, I had no fear, for Lorraine was near me. Since childhood, we'd been pals living on nearby farms. Somehow, even as kids, we seemed to sense that there was a strong bond between us that no amount of kidding from the other kids could harm.
They're all laughing because you're walking home with me, Dave.
As if I care.
They'll bother you all day tomorrow in school.
Let them just try.
Dave,
Yeah?
are you planning to marry me when we grow up?
Well, I guess I am.
I'm planning to marry you, too.
Can't nobody bother us.
Only Pa. He says it's silly for a little girl to have a sweetheart. You are my sweetheart, aren't you, Dave?
Well, I guess so. You're the only one I like in all the world.
More than your uncle and aunt that you live with?
Sure, they ain't like real folks to me. You are.
I'll always belong to you, Dave. Always.
And that's the way it was, right up through the years. We always belonged together. Maybe it was because I didn't have any real folks. I was an orphan, and the folks that adopted me let me call them aunt and uncle. They were good to me. Uncle Henry planned to let me run the farm when I got through my course down at agricultural college. And someday, the farm would be mine. And Lorraine and I, we planned to be married just as soon as I finished my school course and began to run the farm. And then, along came the war, and I had to go. And the evening before I left, Lorraine and I walked to our favorite place for meeting, in the woods, just beyond the clearing of Uncle Henry's place. We had a favorite old log there where we could peer through the clearing and see the house and hills beyond. And a patch of sky to the west where the sun dipped down from sight and sent colored streamers out into the sky. And here, when night came, we could look up above the treetops and see the stars and watch the old moon come riding forth into a purple field. Our trysting place was like a seat in a cathedral. Everything good and clean in life was close to us there at our meeting place in the woods. It was here that we said goodbye.
You don't want me to come into town and go to the station, Dave?
Don't you think it's better to say goodbye here?
We'll never say goodbye, Dave. Never. No matter where you go. I'm always going to be with you.
Sure. I kind of feel like that, too.
And, Dave, when you come back, the very hour that you return to me, I'll know it. I won't come down to the station. I'll be waiting here in the woods, here on the old log. This is where you'll find me.
Oh, Lorraine.
Dave.
You'll be brave?
Yes.
I'm going now. Don't turn and look. I'm walking away, but I'm not really leaving at all. I'll be with you always. Oh, don't turn and look. Before you know it, I'll be back. I'll return and be sitting beside you, here on the log at our old trysting place. And so it was that all during the long days of war, I never felt that I was really away from Lorraine at all, or that she was absent from me. Why, there were times when it was as if I could reach out just a little and find her beside me. In fact, there were times that I could actually hear her voice. I recall the first time I heard it. It was a bad hour. The enemy was giving us everything they had from the sky. Fellas I knew and liked were dropping all around me. Their cries struck terror in my heart. And in the midst of all the hellfire and dying, the pain and the terror, just as clear as a bird call on a silent night. I heard Lorraine's voice for the first time.
Do not fear, my darling. I'm here, Dave. Here beside you.
It was so clear, that voice of hers, that I expected to look and see her standing near me. You can scoff if you like. You can shrug your shoulders and pass my whole story over lightly if you wish. But I know Lorraine was there beside me as the battle raged all around. And then it was over. The war was over. And finally the day came for leaving the battle-torn old world, getting on a ship and starting homeward. There was shouting and rejoicing. There was singing and laughter. There was hope about to be fulfilled. There was home just beyond the horizon. We were at sea. Then we were in the harbor. Then on shore. And then soon discharge. I'd made up my mind I'd return without a word to anyone. Yes, I'd fool Lorraine. She said she'd know the very hour that I'd be returning. I wouldn't have to tell her, she said.
The very hour that you return to me, I'll know it. I won't come down to the station. I'll be waiting here in the woods. Here on the old log. This is where you'll find me.
Yeah. We'd see how good she was. We'd test that second sight of hers, that intuition. All the while on the train that carried me towards home, I kept chuckling to myself. We'll see. Just see if she will be waiting on the old log when I come walking into the woods. My heart was pounding with the excitement of my returning, of the surprise in store for Lorraine. Oh, it seemed as though the long train trip would never end. But finally, we pulled into the station. There was a little bunch of town folks around the old depot. I didn't want to see anybody. I waited until the train was almost ready to leave, and then I jumped off on the opposite side. I took to the fields that led out to the road to where our farm stood. It was autumn. Already there'd been a frost, and the old maples in the woods were dressed in scarlet, brilliant red. Under my feet, the dry leaves made soft music. Only a little way further to go, and our log would be in sight. And then, there it was before me. I stopped, dead still. I couldn't move. For there she was. There was Lorraine, seated on the log just as she'd promised. The setting sun made her all golden. Her fair hair was touched with it, and sparks of light danced upon it. She was looking right at me. Now she was standing, her arms stretched out to me.
Oh, Dave.
Dave. Oh, you knew.
Yes, Dave.
You knew I was coming.
Yes, my darling.
Just as you said you would know.
Yes.
Oh, darling Lorraine, you've never been absent from me. Not for an instant.
No, Dave.
You followed me wherever I went.
Yes.
There were times when I actually heard your voice.
Of course.
What did you say to me? Do you remember what you said?
Yes.
Tell me.
I remember. I said, do not fear, my darling. I'm here, Dave. Here beside you.
Yes. That's what I heard you say.
We will never be separated, Dave. Never.
Of course we won't. Not now. I'm home safe and we'll never be parted again.
Never let anyone tell you differently. Never let them say that we are parted.
Oh, what do you mean? We're together. We can't be parted, not ever again.
Dave.
Oh, my darling. More beautiful than ever. But you're so cold. Night is coming. It's chilly here in the woods. I must get you home.
Try and catch me. Try and catch me, Dave.
Well, hey. You can't run away from me like this. Wait, I'll catch you. I'm a pretty fair runner these days. Don't you know I've been in training? Hey, you can't hide from me. Well, what do you know? You've pulled one on me. I can't see you anywhere. Lorraine, where are you? Say, you can't run out on me like this. I'll find you. Huh. Well, what do you know? Got out of my sight.
Okay, honey, you win. If you can hear me, I'm going up to the house to clean up a bit. See Uncle Henry and Aunt Martha. But I'll be over to your house on the stroke of 7. Do you hear me? At 7. And tomorrow we get the license to be married. Lorray, can you hear me? The license to be married.
Dave. Oh, Dave. Oh, Henry. Henry, it's Dave. He's home.
Hey, my boy. You're home safe.
Oh, what a grand feeling to see you two.
Don't he look wonderful, Henry?
Taller than ever and filled out, too.
Oh, we're glad to have you back, David. Glad you made it safe and sound.
Oh, I tell you, there wasn't a chance of me not making it. You know something, Aunt Martha? All through the terrible business, I felt that Lorray was beside me, protecting me from death.
Oh, David.
And the most wonderful part about it all, even though I never let any of you know I was coming home today, Lorray had a feeling about it. She was waiting in the woods for me just now at our old log where we always used to meet.
What did you say, Dave?
Lorray was waiting in the woods for me. I just left her. She sensed that I was coming home today, and just like we planned before I went away, she was waiting for me in the woods.
My boy.
Henry, you got her.
Didn't you get our letters, Dave?
Well, sure, I got some, but mail hasn't caught up with me now for a long time.
David. Oh, David.
What's wrong? What is it?
Well, David, it's like this.
She couldn't have met you in the woods, David. Lorray couldn't have been in the woods just now.
But she was. I just saw her.
No, David, no.
Lorray died, my boy. She passed away just a little while after you went overseas. We wrote you. We finally wrote you about her death.
And now David finds that the person close to his heart, who he has just met at the old trysting place in the woods, is of this world no more. She's a dream and a vision that is ended in death. What will happen to David's life now? The hermit will tell you before the night is done.
Now the hermit again.
And now David Runsell goes on relating the story of his life to the hermit. Listen.
You ask, what happens to my life now? You think that I believe that death has separated Lorray and me? Never. As we reckon time on this earth, my Lorray was asleep in death at the time she appeared to me on the battlefield. She was not of this world when, in returning home, I met her in the woods at our old and destined meeting place. Uncle Henry and Aunt Martha have taken a place in town. They've left me the farm as they promised, and I'm working it. I've been here 3 months now. Last evening, Aunt Martha came out to see me.
I brought you a pie and some cookies, David.
Thanks, Aunt Martha.
Oh, your Uncle Henry and I worry about you, my boy.
Oh, you must not do that.
But we can't have you here all alone.
I'm not alone.
Davy, you need somebody to keep house for you. You should find a nice girl, court her, and marry her.
Aunt Martha, never.
Oh, it ain't right. It's a sinful, terrible thing, you thinking that a dead girl is beside you all the time.
Oh, stop, Aunt Martha. You can't talk this way to me.
I got her, David. The living can't bow down to the dead.
Lorray is not dead.
I saw her lowered into her grave.
You must say no more. It's the way I want it. There's no one in all the world, here on this earth or after, that I want but Lorray.
Oh, David, it's the war. It's touched your mind.
No, Aunt Martha. There's no use trying to explain. There's a bond between Lorray and me that is stronger than life, deeper than earth, and beyond all time and reckoning. Sometimes I wonder. I puzzle over the why of it all. Why am I left on Earth alone? Why, if Lorraine had to pass beyond, I could not have met her there. But such was not the way it was planned. And I'm not alone. Often as night gathers, when the stars light the sky, when the wind is soft and blows a fragrance in the windows, I hear the door open softly. Lorraine?
Yes, David. I am here.
I can feel your presence, but I cannot see you.
I cannot always return to your sight, but I am ever present.
Yes, I know.
I will always be near you.
Oh, why can't I, too, die that we may be together?
That I cannot answer. There will be an hour, a time for meeting.
You will never appear to me again like you did in the woods when I came home?
No, my darling. Not until the final hour.
Until my death, you mean?
We do not call it death. We who love, for love is stronger than death, my darling. Love is of the spirit, and the spirit never dies.
And so it is I know. The love I bear for Lorraine and the love she bears for me knows no boundary, nor no ending. Do you scoff? Do you shake your head in disbelief? Do you believe, as does Aunt Martha, that my mind is addled by the horrors of war? Do you believe it untrue that my Lorraine, because of death, hath left me? What matter what you say or what you think? I tell you she is with me always, during the soft early hours of dawn, when the sun rides the summit, when dusk falls and the shadows lengthen to bring the night, when the wind sings, when the pines mourn, she is near me. This is my story of love that never ends.
This is the story of David Rudzo, a boy who believes in a love stronger than life or death. This is the story he told me, a story without end. Turn on your lights. Turn them on. I'll be back. Pleasant dreams.
All characters, places, and occurrences mentioned in the Hermit's Cave are fictitious, and similarity to persons, places, and occurrences is purely accidental.
That's it for The Horror for this week. Hope you enjoyed today's story. You can find more from The Horror, The Hermit's Cave, and thousands of other old-time radio episodes at relicradio.com. If you'd like to help support us, you can do so from the website as well, and our Shoutcast stream is there with even more old-time radio. Everything Relic Radio is at the website. Thank you for joining me this week. I'll be back next Saturday with a story from The Whistler on another episode of The Horror.
Strange Tales.
RelicRadio.com presents tales of the strange and bizarre, the weird and the wicked. Stories not necessarily of the supernatural, but of the unnatural. Join us now for Strange Tales, featuring radio drama at its most mysterious and unusual. Today on Strange Tales, our story comes from The Sealed Book, a mutual series of 26 episodes that aired from March to September of 1945. Our story today is from April 2nd, 1945. It's titled Devil Island.
The Sealed Book.
Once again, the keeper of the book is ready to open the ponderous volume in which is recorded all the secrets and mysteries of mankind through the ages. All the strange and mystifying stories of the past, the present, and the future. Keeper of the book, what tale will you tell us this time?
What tale shall I tell you? I have here tales of every kind. Tales of murder, of madness, of dark deeds, and events strange beyond all belief. Now, let me see. Yes, here's a tale for you. The story of a small and desolate island off the coast of New England, and the people who lived on it. The title of the tale is Devil Island. Here is the tale as it was told by Anne Drake, and is written in the Sealed Book. It all began on that bleak
autumn day when I hired a motorboat to take me out to the island, Devil Island. The bleak-looking island which lay ahead and belonged to the Drake family for 200 years was to be my new home. I kept staring at it, wondering what it would be like to live on this island with my father, whom I'd never seen. 20 minutes later, the boatman had landed me at the dock and left. Towering above me was a high cliff, and on top of it was the house, a huge stone mansion that looked as old and weather-beaten as a medieval castle. I climbed the steep, rocky path that led from the dock to the house. Hello.
Don't tell me. Anne, I've recognized you any place. You look exactly like your mother.
Are you my father?
Yes. Are you disappointed?
Oh, no. No, of course not.
Come into the drawing room. Your stepmother and uncle are waiting to meet you. Hester, Henry.
Anne.
I want you to meet my daughter, Anne.
Anne, this is a great pleasure.
Thank you, Uncle Henry.
Anne, I'm your stepmother, and I can't tell you how happy I am to have you here. Won't you call me Hester?
Thank you. I'd like to.
Oh, and let me introduce you to the remaining member of the household, Anne. This is Abel. He served the family for 30 years. He can't talk, but he understands what you're saying. Oh. Abel, this is my daughter.
Hello, Abel.
Oh, Anne, it's going to be wonderful having you here. You're just what Drake Manor needs to make it live again. I do hope we'll be able to make you happy here.
The weeks slipped by, and I was happy. I spent the days reading with Father and taking long walks with Uncle Henry and being taught cooking by Hester. And at night, Uncle Henry and I would play chess.
Well, that's another game for you, Anne. The trouble is, I taught you how to play the game too well.
It looks as though another northeaster is on its way.
Yes, it does.
Would you like me to draw the curtains, Uncle Henry?
If you will, Anne. That window over there seems to be... He's there, looking in at me.
Who, Uncle Henry? There's no one at the window.
Can't you see him? He's beckoning to me.
But there's no one there. Here, I'll draw the curtains. Is that better?
He can't see me now, but he's still out there, waiting for me.
Who is?
Your uncle, Richard.
Uncle Richard? But he's been dead for 15 years.
Yes, I know. And now he's come for me.
No, Uncle Henry, you only imagined you saw him.
Perhaps the same thing is happening to me that happened to the others.
What happened to the others?
Your grandfather Daniel, Aunt Harriet, Uncle Richard. They all died insane.
Oh, no. No, it can't be.
They did, Anne. There's a strain of insanity in the Drake family. Aunt Harriet, for weeks before she died, kept screaming that Grandfather Daniel was trying to pull her into the grave.
Oh.
And Uncle Richard, he died crying out that Aunt Harriet was at the window calling him.
No.
They all died during a storm like this one. And now my time has come. Richard is waiting for me. I'll be the next of the Drakes to die.
Please, Uncle Henry, you mustn't say things like that.
Oh, Anne, I'm so afraid of insanity, of dying.
Uncle Henry, I'll spend all of my time with you now. We'll end this nightmare you're living in.
The only end to it will be death.
Uncle Henry never spoke of his terrible fear again. But in the weeks that followed, he grew haggard, became frightened at the sound of a door opening. Then one day, another northeaster set in. By nightfall, it had whipped itself into a gale. At midnight, I woke suddenly to hear Uncle Henry speaking to someone in his room.
Richard, stop tapping on my window. Go away, do you hear? Why can't you leave me alone? I don't want to go with you. No, not yet.
I quickly opened my door. I stepped into the hall.
Don't take me now.
Uncle Henry's voice grew wilder and wilder as I approached his room.
Why don't you go away? You're dead. Dead. You have no right to bother the living.
Uncle Henry, let me in.
No,
it's Anne.
No.
Uncle Henry, please unlock the door.
I won't go with you, Richard. My time hasn't come yet. No, I won't. You can't make me.
Henry.
Why are you raising my window? No, Richard. Don't come in! Stay away from me!
Uncle Henry! Uncle Henry!
Anne, what is it? What's wrong?
Oh, Father, do something. It's Uncle Henry. He was screaming and now he...
Come here, dear. Hush now, hush.
No. The door's locked. I'll have to break it down. Yes. Yes, Anne. He's dead. Here in the island burying grounds of 6 generations of Drakes, we place the remains of our beloved brother and uncle Henry Drake, secure in the knowledge that in thy arms he shall find everlasting. Ah, dear. Life in this house won't be the same without Henry.
Father, Uncle Henry was terribly frightened for weeks before he died.
Anne, whatever are you talking about?
It all began during that northeaster we had last month. Uncle Henry and I were playing chess.
But Anne, why didn't Henry tell me about those hallucinations he was having?
He didn't want to worry you. Father, did Aunt Harriet, Uncle Richard, and your father die insane?
Oh, Anne, Henry should never have told you about them. Promise me you won't worry about our hereditary trouble.
I'll try not to, Father.
We've lost Henry, but the 3 of us will go on as before.
The 3 of us tried to go on as before, but an unspoken fear had crept into our lives. Often I turned to find Father and Hester watching me anxiously. Then a month after Uncle Henry's death, another storm lashed the island.
I'll be glad when this storm blows over. It's getting on my nerves.
Father, why don't we close up Drake Manor for a few weeks and take a vacation on the mainland?
You mean leave the island?
No, that's impossible, Anne. We have enough money to get along on the island, but not elsewhere.
But I have all that money my mother left me. We could use that.
You won't receive that money until you're 21. That's 6 months from now. Besides...
Anne, well, what are you staring at?
Look. Look at the window.
Eh?
It's Uncle Henry. He's beckoning to me.
Anne, there's no one at the window.
He's there, I tell you, he's there. Look. Now he's gone away. Oh, you saw him, didn't you? You must have.
Darling, you only imagined you saw him.
Oh, no, I did see him. He was beckoning to me, the way Uncle Richard beckoned to him. Means I'm going to be the next Drake to die.
Anne, what are you saying?
Oh, you mustn't talk like that. You just imagined you saw Uncle Henry. It was just an
hallucination? Then I'm going insane. As he did.
Oh, no, don't say that. Anne, you must rid your mind of all these fears, of everything Henry told you. Promise me you won't think about it anymore.
That was a promise I couldn't keep. At night I'd lie in the darkness of my room, thinking of everything that had happened, listening to the night noises. And one night I heard footsteps above me in the tower. That limp. Oh, that unmistakable limp. It was Uncle Henry in the tower. There was an icy coldness about the house as I climbed the steps to the tower. I opened the door. The tower was in complete darkness, but by a window, his face ghost-like in the moonlight, stood Uncle Henry.
Come to take you with me, Anne. Your time has come. The grave will wait no longer.
No.
Do not be afraid. Your death is not a thing to be feared, but to be welcomed.
No, stay away from me.
I cannot return to the grave without you. Give me your hand.
No.
And now for the rest of the story, Devil Island, as it is written in the sealed book. Martin Drake, hearing Anne's screams, rushed up to the tower of the old mansion to find her lying unconscious on the floor. After Martin and Hester had taken the girl back to her bed, Martin went to the mainland. At dawn, he returned with a doctor and waited impatiently for him to finish examining Anne.
I've just given her a sedative, Mr. Drake. She's asleep now.
Will she be all right, Doctor?
Afraid she's on the borderline of insanity.
Oh, no.
And I'm afraid in a case of this type, where there is inherited insanity, there's very little that can be done.
Well, sleepyhead, it's about time you were waking up.
Hello, Father. How long have I been asleep?
A little over 10 hours. It's just getting dark outside.
Is the doctor still here?
No, Anne, he left hours ago.
And, darling, he says you're going to get well.
Why, of course you are. Now you'd better get some more rest. Good night, darling.
A moment later, they were gone. I was alone again. Alone in the dark. And all I could think of was... I was going insane. Perhaps I was already mad. The hours passed. The very stillness of the house made my heart pound in my ears. And then... the stillness was broken. That limp again. It was Uncle Henry in the tower. Back and forth from one end of the tower to the other he limped. Then silence. I lay in the darkness waiting. Waiting. And then suddenly, the door to my room was opened. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. Oh, Abel. Oh, Abel, what are you doing in my room? What are you trying to tell me? I don't understand. Oh, he's walking again. Abel, you hear him, don't you? You do hear it. I told them that Uncle Henry had come back from the grave, but they said I was just imagining it. You mean no? He hasn't come back from the grave? But if he hasn't come back from the grave and you hear what I hear, Abel, you don't mean that he's still alive. But that can't be true. You buried him yourself. I saw you. You mean you didn't bury him? That he wasn't in the coffin? Oh, but you must be wrong. When we broke into his room, Father found him. No, what? What do you mean, no? Are you trying to tell me something about Father? You are. What do you mean, Father, no? Father, no. You mean he isn't my father? But you must be wrong. Of course he is. That doesn't make sense. Why should he say he is my father if he isn't? What does he gain by it? My mother's estate. Oh, no, you must be wrong. Even if I were to die, he wouldn't get it. The estate would then go to charity. It's in Mother's will. Oh, why does he keep walking in the tower? He's driving me crazy. He's driving me crazy. You mean they want to drive me crazy? Oh, but why? What reason could they have? Oh, if I were to become insane, he could have himself appointed my guardian, take over the estate. Is that it? It is. But Abel, if he isn't my father, where is my father? Is he dead? You mean he is dead? Oh, then who are these three who say they're my father and stepmother and uncle? I don't understand, but no matter who they are, they'll kill me. They'll kill both of us if they learn we've discovered their secret. Oh, Abel, we've got to escape. But how? The only boat is locked, and he has the key. Why are you handing me that flashlight? You mean the window? Signal the mainland for help. Yes, of course. Abel, you better go. We can't let them find you in here or they'll suspect. I'll keep signaling as long as the batteries last. Oh, I can't keep signaling much longer. For now,
And, what are you doing out of bed? And with that flashlight?
Nothing at all.
You weren't signaling someone on the mainland, were you?
Oh, no. No, I just had the flashlight in case someone came in the room.
Oh, why, you're trembling as though you were frightened. You're not afraid of your own father, are you, dear?
Oh, no. No, of course not.
Now, no more walking around. I want you to get some sleep. Good night, dear.
It was gone. Taking the flashlight with him. Did he suspect that I knew? Oh, the hours seemed endless until the first rays of dawn came. Would rescue come with it, or had my signals gone unnoticed? After I dressed, I went to the window, and then I saw it. A strange launch tied up at the dock. Suddenly frightened lest the callers leave before I could speak to them, I rushed out of the room. As I ran down the stairs, I could hear voices in the drawing room.
Well, Sheriff, if Dr. Arnold has spoken to you about my daughter's mental condition, I'm quite sure you'll understand.
Sheriff, don't listen to him. He isn't my father.
What was that, miss?
I tell you, he's not my father. He's an imposter, and so is she.
Oh, Martin, she's having another one of her spells.
Now, please, Hester.
They're acting, I tell you. The moment I set foot on the island, they began their plan to drive me insane. First, they gained my love and trust. Then they had Uncle Henry confide to me his fears. And when Uncle Henry was found dead, they told me that...
Who says I'm dead? I've never felt better.
Oh, Sheriff, allow me to introduce my brother, Henry.
Well, Miss Drake, your Uncle Henry doesn't look very dead.
He wasn't. They just pretended he was. They even buried an empty coffin to make me think I was attending his funeral.
I really think you should take Anne up to her room, Hester. She needs rest.
Oh, Sheriff, they're lying, the three of them.
Any proof, Miss Drake?
Yes, Abel will tell you. He knows.
I'm afraid that Abel can't tell you anything, dear. The poor chap fell off Devil's Cliff into the sea early this morning.
Oh, you pushed him off the cliff so that he couldn't talk.
Martin, the excitement's too much for her. She's getting worse.
Sorry to trouble you, Mr. Drake, but it was my duty to investigate those signals.
Oh, Sheriff, you can't leave me here. They will drive me insane.
I assure you, Sheriff, she'll be given the very best of care. We have a specialist coming to see her next week.
Oh, no, Sheriff, wait. Wait, please.
Now, Miss Drake, I think you'd better stop.
No, wait. I just want to show you this gold locket. Look, I'll open it. You see what's inscribed in it?
Oh. Yes. For my daughter, in commemoration of her 5th birthday. What are you driving at, Miss Drake?
If that man's my father, as he claims he is, ask him what my middle name is. It's inscribed in the locket.
Well, just to humor her, Mr. Drake, what is her middle name?
Her middle name? Well, frankly, Sheriff, I seem to have forgotten.
Oh, he hasn't forgotten it, Sheriff. He never knew it. He isn't my father.
Kind of strange you're not knowing your own daughter's middle name.
Well, it's just that, I have an awful memory for names.
So have I, but I know my kid's middle name. There's something peculiar about all this. I think you three and the girl better come with me to the mainland.
What for?
So I can do a little checking. If you're Martin Drake, as you say you are, there must be someone on the mainland who can identify you.
Oh, see here, Sheriff, this is ridiculous. Just because...
I said you're going to the mainland with me.
Well, I always said you were the weak link in the chain, Gerald.
Shut up, you fool.
It's no use, Gerald. The game is up. The trip to the mainland is more than we can stand. You just have to look at Hester's face to see that she agrees.
Who are you folks?
We're actors. Things having become difficult a few years ago, we accepted employment on this island from Mr. Drake. When he died, I thought of this little scheme. It really was a perfect plan until this fool slipped up on the girl's middle name. By the way, what is her middle name?
Why, according to this locket, She hasn't one. It's just inscribed to Anne.
And that is the story of Devil Island, as it is written in the sealed book. Because an impostor slipped up on a middle name that didn't exist, an almost perfect crime was prevented by Sheriff Williams, and an innocent girl was rescued from imprisonment and probable death. It was a small slip, but a fatal one. But the sound of the great gong tells me I must close the sealed book once again.
One moment, Keeper of the Book. What story will you tell us next time?
Next time? Are you sure you want to know? Perhaps my next story may be about you, for I have here all the stories that ever happened, and many that have yet to come to pass. But I'll find one for you in just a moment.
And now, Keeper of the Book, have you found the story that you'll tell next week?
Yes, I have found one. It's the story of two helpless old ladies in fear of their lives and the desperate measures to which they were driven in order to save themselves. The title of the tale is Escape by Death.
Be sure and be with us again next time when the great gong heralds another strange and exciting story from
The Sealed Book.
The Sealed Book, written by Bob Arthur and David Cogan, is produced and directed by Jock McGregor.
That's our strange tale for this week. I hope you enjoyed our story this time. You can find more from the Sealed Book at relicradio.com alongside thousands of other episodes, all the other podcasts, our Shoutcast stream, and everything else Relic Radio. Don't forget to donate while you're there if you'd like to help support this and all of the shows. It's how all of this is made possible. Thanks, as always, to those who have helped out. Thanks for joining me today. Be back Monday with more science fiction and next Sunday with another episode of Relic Radio's Strange Tales.